everyone, this is Serverless Camp Week 3, Step 3 by Bit Project. My name is Emily, and in this video, we'll be going over how to do some error handling in our bunny image Azure function. So we're going to be adding in a few concepts of what to do if a user makes a mistake, because let's be honest, us as users, we make multiple mistakes all the time, and as application designers, we want to code something that catches those errors and makes our users' experience as easy as possible. So in this video particularly, we're going to be modifying the function so that, first of all, one, it receives a header value called Codename, which kind of names our image instead of just calling it test.jpg or test.png every time. And then we also want to catch the potential of a user not attaching an image. So what if the image field is blank? Usually our previous function would just throw an error, the user wouldn't know what happened, but in this time we want to program something into this Azure function that allows the program to tell users, hey, this code didn't work because your image was not attached. All right, so let's get started with that. And the first thing we're going to do, as you can see here, we're just going to go ahead and start coding. What we're doing is we're handling empty data. And to do this, we're going to use something called a try-catch function. You will also use this in week 4 if you're familiar with programming, and you should know what this means. It's basically trying to catch errors, and we're going to put that in our Azure function, and I'll explain why that's necessary. So we're going to do what this example shows right here, and I'm going to head over here. The first thing we're going to want to do is to define a variable called a response message. And we're going to make it blank for now. You might see over here that we did use response message before in our prior version, and that was to catch the output of the upload file function. We are still going to do that. However, we're going to have another instance where if the file upload field is empty, we will assign response message to something else. So therefore, we're going to need to declare it at the top instead of just needing it at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to add in our try-catch function. So basically, we want to try to parse the body. And let's see what we want to have in here. I would say we want to have all of this in here. So for VS Code, if you want an easy way to indent a bunch of lines of code, just highlight everything and click tab and it indents it for you. So this is our first section. We want to try this piece of code. We want to try parsing it. We want to try reading the file type. Now, if an error occurs, we want to catch it. So we're going to catch it by saying catch error. That's the syntax. I would recommend you log out the error in the console. So if you look back at it later and you see an error, if there's an error from the user, you want to know what it was. And then I might want to context.log undefined body image just to let the application developer know what's actually happening, what error was caught. And we're going to want to set response message, to sorry, no image attached. And make sure you use this exact wording so then the bot is able to check it. So let's go over what we just did. So right here, we added a new variable. Well, we already had it, but we declared it in a different place, response message, and we set it equal to nothing. Depending on what happens, it's going to have a different output. So for example, if we were able to parse the image, if everything went fine, there was no error, then we would assign it to the output of upload file. However, if an error did happen over here, we want to catch it and we want to set the response message to sorry, no image attached, and it's going to go ahead and put that out in the body and return it to the user. Awesome. But we still have one more thing to do. We did catch our error, but now we have to add a header. In this case, the header value will be used to name a picture. And let's take a look at how we're going to do that. The first thing we're going to do, I would say, is to add an additional parameter to the upload file function. I'm going to call it, I'm going to put it at the end here, I'm going to call it file name. And we're going to use that parameter down here. So you might see that we previously named all of our images test.something. Well, this time we want to have a custom file name. So it'd be file name. And once we've added this as a parameter, it's going to be used within the function. But you might be wondering, how are you going to pass that file name in? Let's go back up and let's check out the syntax for adding a request header. So I'm going to copy paste this. And I'll show you where to put it. So I think we should do it right after the catch error. So, right before it, because we only want to execute this if there is an image in the body. So let's go ahead. We want to say var, let's call it file name to be consistent. And we want to just go ahead and pass that in here. So if you look back at the instructions, we want to change the function code so that it receives a header value called Codename and uses it to name the image. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So if you see, we got a header value from the header name Codename, and we assigned it to a variable called file name, and then we're passing file name into the upload file function. And if we trace our code down here, file name is this parameter, and it's going to be used to name the blob. All right, I think our code looks good, so I think we should go ahead and test it out. So before we begin testing locally, however, you want to pay attention to one important thing. It's this environment variable. So as you can see here, this is trying to access the environment variables on the Azure cloud environment, which obviously is not accessible locally. So what I'm going to do for simplicity is I'm just going to delete this. Actually, I'm going to comment it out to make it easier. I'm going to comment this line out, and I'm going to replace it with my actual connection string, so then we can actually test it out. Remember, do not share this secret key with anyone. I'm doing so for the purpose of this video, but once again, that should be secret. All right, let's go over to Postman then. So I'm at Postman. I have a image in the body, and for the headers, I've added a codename header name, and I've named it test file. So I'm gonna go ahead and click send. All right, it says file saved. Let's go ahead and double check that to see if our naming function actually worked. So I've headed over to the storage account, and I'm going to click on containers. I'm going to click on images, and there we go, test file. If you want to double check, you can go back to Postman and see that my code name was test file. Now let's see if our error handling works. And that's super easy. All you have to do is delete the image. And now it's an empty body. Let's send it over. And it says, sorry, no image attached. All right, our code looks good then. So I'm going to go back. Before I commit anything, I do want to delete this connection string because you do not want to commit that. I'm going to uncomment that line of code. Before I commit anything, I think I'm going to go ahead and deploy my function to update everything before I forget. And that's a very important step. I'm going to deploy. Awesome. While that's deploying, I'm going to, let me see, get access to my other terminal, and I think we should go ahead and start committing while that's deploying to save time. So I'm going to git add, git commit hm, finish, this is step 3. And then I'm going to wait for it to deploy. Everything should, all the secrets should be in GitHub already. And it looks like it's about done. All right, our deployment has been completed, and I'm going to go ahead and push my changes out so then the bot can check my code. All right, so I've pushed to the branch, and that's gonna make the bot check it. I'm gonna create a pull request. I'm gonna call this added error handling. Now, just to review what we did in this step, we added feature to name image, checked for empty request body. Let's create that pull request and see what the bot says. All right, so it's checking the code. All right, and the bot has approved our code. Everything looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and merge this pull request, and I'll see you in the next step of week 3.